One very nasty way a driver's health can suffer, with potentially disastrous consequences, of course, is if the exhaust leaks carbon monoxide into the car's interior. Which brings us to our practical spot, which this week is not only about fixing a leaking exhaust, but also how you can stay legal and cure a noisy silencer.
All right, Bob. That is an illegal exhaust system. When that car is running along the road, it is bound to be making more than 87 decibels of noise, which is above the legal permissible maximum. And remember, when we adopt the EEC regulation on exhaust noise, 82 decibels will be the legal permissible maximum. So, as well as being vastly antisocial and very unpopular with his neighbours, the owner of this car will also be running the risk of being prosecuted. He will also be running the severe risk of killing himself, because it is not worth persevering with any exhaust system that has a hole in it. It is far too dangerous. You can get carbon monoxide fumes sucked up into the car with potentially fatal results. I'm at a Euro exhaust centre just outside London, where they do nothing else every day of the week but change motor car exhaust systems. And believe it or not, that's something that over 8 million of us have to do in this country every year. Harry Hayward, editor of Practical Motorist magazine, is with us again. Harry, I suppose it's road salt, is it, that makes those exhaust systems rot away?
Well, yes, road salt and, of course, grit and water that's thrown up too. But the system is also attacked from the inside by water and acids, which are the products of combustion. There is a tremendous amount of water in the system because every gallon of petrol that's burned produces more than a gallon of water. And when the engine's hot, it disappears as steam. But as soon as the system gets cold, what's left in the system condenses. And of course, the inside of the system rarely gets really dry.
And that presumably accounts for the fact that sometimes it's the top of the exhaust pipe that rusts as well. It seems a bit illogical, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Right. Do you honestly advise patching up an exhaust system?
Well, only when the damage hasn't got too big. If you tackle any defect early on, the chance of you're making a fairly good repair until you haven't done properly is grand. But let it get really bad and there's no chance.
Right, well, show us how it's done. Well, Harry, on the table over here, you've got a couple of examples of exhaust repairs. Let's start with this type of repair here. Now, when would you use this kind of repair?
That one where there's plenty of room to work because the wire that's on it is fairly stiff to use.
Right, what's the starting point?
Starting point is to wire brush all the loose rust away and then bind the wire around the pipe at intervals of about 1/4 of an inch.
Right, let's examine this wire. You've got a piece there.
Yes.
What is it, garden wire?
It is fairly thick garden wire, and the tip about it is to form it on either a broom handle or, in this case, box spanner, just to get the rough shape so that it fits neatly over the pipe.
So that makes it a little bit easier. What do you do then? Tighten it up with a pair of pliers?
Tighten it up with pliers, yes, but another tip there is not to line up the twists, because if you do, you can't turn the pliers. They get in each other's way and you don't really get tight wire.
So it may look neat, but it's a nuisance.
Quite.
Right, OK. Now, what's the black stuff on the other side?
The black stuff is exhaust putty, and this is pressed into the wire, between the wires with the thumb, so that it closes behind the wire and forms a very strong key indeed.
OK. Well, that's that one. Let's move on to the next one here, which is a repair that you've effected on a bendy bit of pipe. When would you use this kind of repair?
When the hole is out of sight or difficult to reach.
And what did you use to do the repair?
Well, this is an exhaust bandage.
What does the kit consist of?
A piece of tin foil, the bandage itself, which is about 2 inches wide, and short lengths of wire.
OK, now how do you use it?
Well, first of all, the rust is wire brushed off, and then the foil is placed over the hole. The bandage is then dipped in water to make it pliable and wrapped around with about 1 inch overlap so that every bit of it is covered by 2 layers.
And what about the bits of wire?
The bits of wire are purely to hold it into position until the heat from the exhaust causes the bandage to set hard.
OK, well, there we are, a couple of temporary repairs. Now let's turn our attention to the permanent way of doing it, changing the system.
Right.
Well, obviously, Harry, a place like this has numerous advantages, like they have these high lifts, they have automatic machinery to cut away exhaust systems. But for you or I in our garage drive or in the garage, how do we go about it?
Well, we can do it just as well, really, with a little more discomfort. The first thing, of course, is to raise the car securely on ramps so there's no possibility of it toppling over onto you. Where a lot of people make a mistake is to start the job and then find their bits missing. So the first thing to do is to buy everything you want beforehand and have it ready for you. The next thing is be terribly careful of your eyes underneath the car. There's going to be a lot of rust flying about. Rust particles can get in your eyes, so always wear goggles underneath the car. But another thing which is very important, most people forget, is to note the way everything fits together. and they hang a strap the wrong way around and then wonder why the exhaust system rattles like the devil.
So watch how it goes on, right?
And then, of course, because all the nuts and bolts are going to be absolutely rusted solid, you have to be prepared to cut everything away.
Now here, of course, they can use automatic cutters or oxyacetylene torches, can't they? What do we use?
Well, it must be a hacksaw of some sort, either a small one like this, a pad saw, or even a full-sized one.
Right.
But the last thing is, if you're just replacing a thing like a silencer, to soak all the nuts and bolts with penetrating oil at least 48 hours beforehand and as frequently as possible before you do the job.
That's so you don't damage the rest of the system that you want to keep when you pull the silencer
Well,
off.
it is indeed, and so it comes off easily.
All right, so you've got it off, you've got your new system, which you've carefully laid out beforehand. How do you go about putting it all back together again?
Well, the first thing to do is to lay it out on the ground in the sequence it's going to go back, and then fit it to the car, but only fit it loosely. And then check very carefully that no part of the system fouls anywhere else on the car, say the prop shaft or the springs or the back axle. And when you're sure that everything is absolutely aligned properly, then tighten the nuts and bolts.
Harry Hayward, thank you very much indeed.